All right, guys, let's take a look at those crypto markets. Nothing too exciting. Pretty much the same as yesterday. People are still kind of waiting for that ETF, which now is supposedly going to get approved next week. I made a video yesterday just kind of saying, shit or get off the pot. I'm just kind of sick of hearing about this ETF at this point. It looks like it's a done deal. We're probably going to get it, but I don't think it's going to have too much price action. I think a lot of it's baked in. Wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin goes to like $47,000, some altcoins pump, but I think we are going to pull back after that and kind of take a chill. Like I said yesterday, I'm kind of bored with everything going on right now. I feel like I have crypto figured out, not to sound too cocky, and I know that probably by the end of the summer we're going to be in a full-fledged bull market. That's probably when I'm going to be taking most of my profits. Like, these 4-year cycles have been going unbelievably to a T, like almost like more than I could have ever imagined. I told myself 3 years ago when I did okay in crypto, but I could have done a lot better. I told myself I wasn't going to make those same mistakes. And as long as the market looked like it was following the 4-year cycles, I was going to be golden and probably able to retire in the coming years. And right now, everything is following those 4-year cycles to a T. And I just kind of ignore the short-term FUD. Right now, Bitcoin's kind of pulling back a little bit. The ETF trade is kind of over. People are kind of bored with it now. We're also in a situation where the ETF has been kind of shilled for the last couple months, and people are kind of bored with it. So what you're seeing right now is people are just kind of sick of hearing about the ETF. People say, oh, the ETF's getting approved, I don't know, December 23rd or whatever, before Christmas. And then it doesn't. And people are just kind of getting scared off now. And they're basically, Bitcoin dominance is going up and they're getting out of these altcoins. And you can kind of see that. I mean, with your altcoins are kind of like looking like shit. I mean, I'm not looking like shit. They're definitely still up, but they're not getting the same love that that Bitcoin's getting. And that just kind of shows you that people are kind of scared right now, and they're getting into Bitcoin. Eventually, when Bitcoin pumps again, Bitcoin will cool off, and then the altcoins will make their next leg up. And that's kind of why there's not a lot to talk about here, which is why on this channel, it's going to be still a mainly crypto channel, but I'm also going to talk about other news. We got the Donald Trump Biden election coming up, end of 2024. As you guys know, I think if you're into crypto, how can you be a Democrat? Because I'm going to play this video right here, just kind of comparing the Democrat Gary Gensler to Jay Clayton, who was Trump's chairman of the SEC, and he's so much more bullish on Bitcoin. Like, here's an interview. He's such a rational, down-to-earth, no-nonsense guy versus this ugly Gary Gensler who looks like he was came out of an elephant's asshole, and he's like, you can tell he's just the scum of the earth. You can tell he's a sleazeball, and if you're trying to make money in crypto, he's been going against all of your best interest. If you want to make money in crypto and you're voting liberal Democrat, I always said it's like being a Jew in World War II in Germany and voting for Hitler. I mean, Hitler was duly elected, and a lot of Jews voted for him, and it's just like you don't understand what you're voting for. So here is, I found this very interesting. Here is Jay Clayton kind of talking about the the Bitcoin ETF approval, and just listen to this guy. Imagine if Trump got reelected, guys. In 2020, we'd have an ETF already. We'd probably have an Ethereum ETF already. We might even have a freaking Cardano ETF already. It's just a whole different world, and that's why elections do have consequences. So like I said, I'm going to be talking more about politics. I'm going to be talking more about I like talking about dating stuff. Even though I'm married, a lot of my friends get divorced and stuff like that, and you just kind of see what's going on in the dating world with a lot of these women and how these guys are getting screwed. So I'm going to be talking about everything on this channel. It's still going to be mainly a crypto channel. I'm going to make dedicated crypto videos every day or every other day, but I'll probably be talking about some other stuff. Well, and just news, war stuff, Ukraine stuff, anything that's going on in the world, because I'm just kind of bored with crypto. I know what's going to happen in crypto. I know I'm cashing out in the summer. I know I'm retiring. I know it all. I mean, it's like unless there's big news, there's really not much to talk about. But I do want to cover this story with Jay Clayton, because there is a world of difference between Jay Clayton, Republican, Donald Trump guy, versus Gary Gensler, Biden guy. I mean, it's like evil versus straight up family man. Anyway, here he is.
On this story, Jay Clayton, he's a former SEC chairman and a CNBC contributor. Jay, I wanted to talk to you about this tonight because there's just so much money riding on this decision today. You heard Kate talking about it. Bitcoin prices have run up in anticipation of a decision from the SEC. What I want to know from you is, do regulators feel that kind of massive market pressure in the final days of making a call like this?
Well, Ivan, thanks for having me on. Look, I want to take my hat off to Kate. She summarized where we stand in incredibly well. So, well done. And to your question, do you think about things like an introduction of a new product, or in this case, perhaps as many as 13 new products, and what that will do to trading? Well, of course you do. And I think that we're looking at a possible approval here. I think next week, makes a lot of sense from a market dynamics point of view, because people are back and more people are back working. And if you're introducing a new product where there's going to be cross currents, and Kate outlined some of the cross currents, it's good to have everybody back in their seats.
So it seems like there's kind of short-term pressure on the SEC in terms of the huge run-up in Bitcoin, and the idea that if they don't approve this now, after all this expectation, a lot of people are going to lose their shirts in the Bitcoin markets. But there's also this sort of long-term concern about investor protection, right? Because if you talk about people investing their retirement funds now in a Bitcoin ETF, and Bitcoin has been such a wildly volatile item out there, these huge epic swings that you don't see in other asset classes. You talk about people maybe losing their retirement funds in the long run. So how do you balance those two things as the SEC looking at this, on a Friday night in eearly January?
Well, Lehman, let me talk about the SEC's role here. And what I would say is the three things the SEC felt that they had to get right before they approve it. And, approval is not certain, but I've said that approval this week is not certain, but I believe approval eventually is inevitable.
It feels like
what do
it's
they have to get right?
Yep.
It's coming.
Yep.
What do they have to get? The disclosure has to be real, okay, so that people understand what they're buying. The second thing is the underlying trading market has to be efficacious. It has to be of a quality that manipulation, the type of just bad behavior that you don't want to see in an underlying trading market, is eliminated or at an acceptable minimum. And then lastly, and this is very important here with the digital asset, the pipes have to work. The product itself, the custody, the create, the redemption. Kate talked about authorized participants and the arbitrage and how this product actually functions. That has to work. So the SEC has to have gotten comfortable that all those things are going to function as they should. I've said many times when I was chair of the SEC, I was concerned about that underlying Bitcoin trading market. So, I think we've gotten past that. On your question about investors, I rarely give investment advice. I don't know whether Bitcoin is going to be worth a lot or a little. I will say this. This is a speculative, volatile asset. No good investment advisor or broker-dealer would tell you to put a substantial portion of your investment assets into a single volatile or speculative asset.
You say that.
Yeah, and I agree with everything he's saying. And that's like the difference between like a Gary Gensler and this guy. It's so obvious if you guys can't see it. You got to have to take your political hat off that we would have an ETF right now if Donald Trump was still in office and Jay Clayton was in office. And he's basically saying a straight shooter. You shouldn't put a lot of money in it. He kind of goes on to say how risky it is. It is. But he basically says a Bitcoin ETF is inevitable. So we are getting that ETF. And the only reason we're even getting an ETF under Joe Biden's Gary Gensler is because Gary Gensler knows if he doesn't approve one of these ETFs, all these giant billion-dollar funds are going to sue the fuck out of him. And that's the only reason he's going to do it. He doesn't want to do it. He's bought and paid for by Elizabeth Warren and all these other anti-crypto Democrats. So I don't know, guys. I just can't understand being in cryptocurrency and like voting liberal Democrat. Like you're like just voting you're voting to have your family live in the poorhouse. It doesn't make any sense. And if you just look at Jay Clayton just like take your political eyes off and look at a guy like Jay Clayton, straight shooter, looks like a good wholesome guy. He's got a picture of his daughter back here. He's got a nice gun, rifle. You can tell the guy likes to shoot, likes to hunt. Versus Gary Gensler, who looks like I said, I mean, he just got shit out of an elephant. He just looks like somebody who was flying around on Epstein's plane, like complete sleaze. Former Goldman Sachs guy and all this, just complete sleaze versus straight shooter Jay Clayton. So it does look like we're getting that ETF, but like I said, I don't think that ETF is what's going to take Bitcoin to $100,000. It's just not going to happen. We're probably going to have to wait for the halvening. If we do get a delay on that ETF, yeah, we're definitely going to have some major bearishness for the next few months. You know, while we're in these pullbacks right now, all the whales are basically buying all their favorite altcoins. Cardano really has not come out of the accumulation zone, especially now that we're down in the 50-cent range or 55-cent range. Here's an article, Cardano whales going mad. What's happening? Cardano whales are surprisingly active, which could be accumulation sign. Recent Cardano has experienced a correction leading it toward a crucial juncture of the 50 exponential moving average, a key indicator watch for potential reversal on the Cardano chart. This descent raises questions about the coin's next move. As Cardano approaches 51-cent mark, all eyes are on the possibility of it finding robust support. The 50 EMA serves as a test for the asset's strength. I'm not going to read the whole article, but it just goes on to say how most whales have been accumulating for the last year, and Cardano is still in that accumulation zone. Whales are active. The big whales have been buying throughout the year, 23 cents, 45 cents. Now we're at 50 cents. We went to 63 cents, now back to 53 cents, and whales are just accumulating, and that's what I'm doing. I'm looking for cheaper prices, especially if somehow that Bitcoin ETF gets delayed. I will certainly be buying more Cardano. Found a tweet from Rand Nooner. You guys know I'm not a big fan of Rand Nooner. I think he's a scammer, but I think he does have a good gauge in the market. And he's essentially telling you what I've been telling you guys for the last week. Here's the tweet. The market is telling you that the ETF approval will be a sell the news event for altcoins. The probability of a Bitcoin approval ETF is above 99% and altcoins are looking weak. This is a clear sign that the ETF trade that has pumped the market for 203 days now is over. And we will probably get a flush out 20% and then on to the next narrative. And that's kind of what I'm thinking as well. You know, we were bullish for a very long time, at least a couple months of bullishness. He says 203 days. I don't know if it was that long. And I just kind of feel like the steam is settled. Bitcoin's still kind of on a run waiting for that ETF news, but the altcoins are kind of taking a little bit of a pullback. Wouldn't be surprised if altcoins go down another 10, 20% until we get closer to that halvening. Then the next narrative, which is the halvening, kind of goes into play. And then we get the next leg up. And that's probably when we're going to get the 70, 80, 90 cents Cardano, Theta over $2, and so forth. But like I said, guys, everything is following the 4-year cycles. If you line up a chart of this cycle versus last cycle, everything is basically following. So it's hard to predict day by day what's going to happen, but we know most likely by end of summer, we're probably going to be at the tippy top of this bull market. Bitcoin should be hitting all-time highs. You know, it's funny. You know, the one thing being in cryptocurrency since 2017 is, you know, YouTube is my main source of entertainment. Not only do I make YouTube videos, I pretty much just watch stuff on YouTube, not just crypto-related stuff, but history channel stuff, stock stuff, crypto stuff, video game stuff. I collect retro video games and things like that. And you start to see, one reason I know we're kind of like out of the bear market and we're going into the bull market is you're starting to see YouTubers who just left during the bear market. They saw they weren't getting a lot of views and they saw that they couldn't pump or shill. So they were doing okay in the bull market. And then the minute we hit bear market, they leave. And now you're starting to see some of them come back. Here's one of these guys right here. This fat pig right here, Awesome, who I guess he does food review channels as well. This is the typical kind of guy right here. You should be avoiding in the crypto market. He's also an XRP shill, which you guys know I do hold some XRP, but all these guys who shill XRP are just like complete sleazeballs. Here's your typical guy, and there's a lot of other guys as well, and I might even do a video on it, who just leaves when the going gets rough. He leaves the market, leaves all of his fans, and then 6 months later decides to come back when he sees the market's pumping again. And, you know, I don't like to like shit on too many people, but because at least guys like BitBoy, Ben Armstrong, Crypto Banter, they just, no matter how bad it gets, you know, they're still going to make a video. But guys like this are just the worst because they're the minute we go bearish again, and they're actually a good market indicator, but at least for coming back into the bull market. But this sleazeball right here sees that the market's starting to pump again. So a couple weeks ago, he started making videos again. And you saw it last year, well, with guys like Superman and stuff like that. Like, man, guys who make videos only in the bull market, that's like a telltale sign. If you're looking for advice, if you're looking who to listen to get some good, solid cryptocurrency knowledge, just see if they stop making videos in the bear market. Then you know you're dealing with a freaking sleazeball. Anyway, that's pretty much it, guys. Like I said, there's not much to talk about. It's boring. I expect another 3 or 4 months of boringness. I expect the next sell news event to be the Bitcoin halving in April. We got 3 months till that. Like I said, maybe we get a pump up to $47,000, $48,000 if we get the ETF approval. I don't think the altcoins are going to follow all that much. Maybe they'll get back to where they were last week, but I don't think we're getting any major moves, guys, until we get closer to the halving. Could be wrong. We could go up to $100,000 with this ETF approval, but for me, I'm just not seeing it. I just see, because I'm a good reader of the sentiment, and the sentiment has turned, and people are now waiting for the next narrative, which, like I said, is the Bitcoin halving. So that's why I said I'm probably going to be talking about other things on this channel as well. I probably should have done it during the bear market, but I was just kind of too busy with my rental properties and stuff, my rental property and stuff like that, and work and my PI stuff, and I just didn't have time to do it. But right now, I'm just kind of like, as far as Bitcoin, like, even if you look at other YouTubers right now, there's nothing going on. It's just all a bunch of like ETF. Are we getting the ETF? ETF countdown. A lot of these YouTubers now are doing an ETF countdown. It's like, come on, guys, give me a break. Let's grow up a little bit. Yeah, we're probably getting the ETF, but we might not, and then we're probably going to go back down to $35,000 Bitcoin. So let's not make our whole life centered around this ETF, and let's use some common sense in that. If we do get the ETF approval, we're probably not going to get that much of a pump in altcoins. You might get a nice pump in Bitcoin. Like I said, $47,000, $48,000, maybe just $45,000. But guys, after that, all the big money that you're listening to, all the big funds, they all see this as a sell the news event. Once we get that spike up, they're going to be dumping on you. Guys like Rand Nooner are going to be dumping on you. I wouldn't be surprised if Rand Nooner hasn't dumped all of this Solana. You know, he hasn't talked too much about Solana. If you guys follow Rand Nooner, I'm a good guy. I'm a good guy. Like, 'cause I've been a private investigator for 20 years. I've interviewed hundreds of people for fraud cases. And if you look at Rand Nooner, I can't prove this, but look how much he was shilling Solana over the last few months, and now he's hardly even talking about it, which makes me think you guys probably got dumped on. Him and his buddies all dumped Solana on you at $120. I can't prove it. I don't know what wallet he has, but I would not be surprised if he's 90% out of Solana. Maybe he's buying back in right now, or he's going to buy back in at $80. Hell, as much as I hate Solana, I might buy back in at $80 or buy in at $80. But I got a feeling you guys got dumped on. I really do. And if anybody knows Rand Nooner's wallet, please post it in my comments. But there's no way that sleazeball didn't sell his Solana at $120. And once you hear him start talking about it again, that's probably when he bought back in. So, guys, just remember, these guys are all charlatans on YouTube. I could go through each one. Even the guys you think aren't charlatans, they're still selling you some stupid course like Benjamin Cowan. Like, give me a freaking break. Benjamin Cowan told everybody the altcoins were pretty much going to zero and Bitcoin dominance would be 80%. Then 2 months later, every altcoin doubles and Solana goes up 1,000%. Like, come on. I mean, at what point do you just say, okay, I'm being bamboozled? Like I said, private investigator for 20 years. All I see is scams. And all I see in this crypto market is 90% scams. Doesn't matter if you used to work for NASA like Benjamin Cohen or you used to be a CNBC shill like Rand Nooner. A scam is a scam, and a shiller is a shiller, and a Carlton Sheets and a Don Lapre or a Kevin Trudeau from the Natural Cures book. They're all cut from the same ilk. They'll sell their mother out for $1. Doesn't matter the education level. You know, there's just as many sleazeballs selling real estate with master's degrees as there are used car salesmen who barely made it through high school. A scammer is a scammer. But hopefully now people are starting to see like who the scammers are and who aren't. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much it. Like and subscribe. Talk to you later.